With the arrival of chaos and force in the galaxy, it would seem the Emperor himself has called upon more of his champions to help quell these ruinous powers. With that said, today we get to look at Joy Toy's new releases from both the Chaos and the Loyalist forces, and we get to see whether or not this is something you're going to want to add to your future Warhammer 40k collection. Alright, Trial Mob, let's go ahead and break it down. So to start everything off from the Ultramarines, we are getting Primaris Captain in Gravis armor. This is going to be Battle Captain Voltian. Now, if I do say so myself, I've been waiting for this Gravis armor very patiently. I think it's one of the coolest looking armors from the Warhammer universe, from the new Primaris stuff. It's a bulkier, larger armor, reminiscent of almost Terminator armor, you could say, and some of the other things that we'll be seeing here today. But I think that it's really badass. We're getting the really cool cape, the nice sword, the overall really nice ornaments. This looks exactly like what I remember the miniature looking like, and it's going to be really badass. Now, it's really hard to tell, but articulation may or may not be hindered depending on what we see here. It doesn't look like the leg is going to be able to go too far forward, but it doesn't seem like the arms themselves are going to be too restricted. There is a lot going on here. Obviously, he has a huge gun on his left arm, including the power fist. So there's, again, a lot going on here, but I'm just so happy that they're able to capture a lot of this detail. This looks, again, just incredible. Even the sword looks really nice. Now, as you guys know, Joy Toys doesn't always do the best job of translating this to the final product, so the sword might not look as good, but at least seeing its potential, especially for you customizers, again, it's really nice. Now, in following the new trend of a lot of the Warhammer stuff, we're basically getting unhelmeted and helmeted versions of it. So we'll be getting here what the unhelmeted version looks like, and damn, this is really cool, man. I like that he's wearing that I don't know what the name of that piece is, so if any of you guys know what it is, please let me know. But he's got that like headpiece on. I think it's a really cool look overall. This guy is going to have a presence on the shelf. When you get him and you're able to put other Space Marines around him, there is an absolute presence that is undeniable with this guy. More so than the Librarian that we just recently got, which I think is kind of a hit or miss with that one. But this one right here, I think is going to be resolve all those issues. Now, something new that we will be getting here is that we will be getting, in fact, these bases that are going to be coming with some of these larger characters. Now, I don't quite remember if the Primaris Librarian got one, but at least this guy and some of the other guys that we're going to be seeing in today's news video do come with these black or clear bases. So I think that that's pretty badass. Maybe to some degree this is Joy Toy's way of accepting the fact that these guys probably can't stand on their own, so or maybe they can, as you can tell here, but it's kind of hard. So I hope that moving forward we continue getting some of these bases, because I mean, I think that would go really well with the aesthetic. Now, switching over to the next unit, we are getting the Ultramarine Aggressors. So these guys right here have very similar armor to what we're seeing with the Gravis armor. So I guess I shouldn't be surprised that we are getting this portion of the faction at this point, since they already have, you know, similar pieces. They might as well do that. So as you can tell, they're going to be coming in a 3-man squad, and they look really badass, man. I guess this is supposed to be the follow-up to what the Terminators used to be, and man, I know that we're not going to get the original Terminators, which is sad, because I would like to see a few of those, but at least seeing this right here, man, this is a force to be reckoned with. Now, as you can tell, there is no lack in detail. We see I don't really know their full equipment. I believe those are missiles on top of their head, or should I say like small torpedoes. Then obviously they have the guns on either side with the belt clips that connect into the backpack. So again, just looking real badass. The only thing that I'm wondering, if you guys know lore wise, do you know if those hands, I know they're like power fists, but do you guys know if they actually open up? Like, are they usable? Are they literally closed fists? Regardless of that, the detail that we're seeing here is just incredible, down to the red sash around their waists with some of the icons on it. I think this is a beautiful looking piece. Here we have one of them unhelmeted. I believe this is the one that wears the red helmet himself. So this is the main guy. Again, really nice look. I really appreciate how much detail is on this, and like I mentioned, Joy Toy isn't necessarily the best at translating this to the final product, but if they can capture some of this, I think it's a home run. So same thing here. As you can tell, they do come with a base, they do come with a helmet, and I believe all three of them do have unhelmeted heads. So you are getting a fair amount of stuff here, but these guys don't come with anything that they necessarily put on their bodies, or should I say, like, they don't hold any weapons or anything like that. As you can tell here, now that I'm seeing it, he does have open hands. So again, they do have hands that open up and close. I don't know if they're articulated, or it just depends on which one you get that they come like that, but again, they don't come with anything to hold. So this is going to be one of the ones that has basically 0 accessories, but you get a lot. It's still a big figure with a lot of detail. Now, this was one of the releases that I was actually surprised took this long, considering they are basically identical to what we've already gotten. So these right here are Reavers. They are based on the same overall body as the Incursors and the Infiltrators. I do believe there are obviously differences, as you can tell here, mainly around the head. They have different head sculpts. These guys have skulls for masks, which is really badass. But you see, like, sigils, their weaponry is a little different, and some of the things on their chest, I want to say, are slightly different. So there are obviously a few differences here that I can see. And actually, if I am not mistaken, it looks like they have another strap kind of around the crotch that's supposed to connect to the holsters on either side. So again, something that we've kind of seen before, but just a different take on it. Now, Carlos in the comments section of my community post mentioned this, and good observation on his part. He asked basically why they're going from a 4 to a 3-man set. I'm not sure what's happening here, because it looks like we are getting another 2 sets, but this time we're getting 2 sets of 3, so a total of 6 figures if you decide to get these Reavers. Again, I don't quite understand what's happening here. Are we getting charged the same, or are we getting charged less? And if we're getting charged the same, are we getting maybe a higher quality figure? I'm okay with paying a little more if it means a bit better QC. I did mention that I had one issue with one of my figures, so we'll see what ends up coming out, or maybe they come with a lot of things, who knows. Hopefully these aren't bigger, as they are supposed to be the exact same size, but as you can tell, more weaponry, more knives, more pistols, a new type of gun which I really like, and the grappling gun, which is a really nice look. Now, maybe it's just a visual effect, but something about these guys seem to be a little bit more sleek than what we've gotten before. Maybe it's the difference in the backpack, or maybe again it's just a visual effect that we're seeing here. But these guys look really badass. I really like the head sculpts on these ones. I also like the pistols that they come with. I think these ones are a little bit more cool than what we ended up getting before. The knife looks exactly like I think what we've gotten before. I actually haven't opened up, I believe is the Infiltrators yet. Yeah, I have a box that's completely closed, so I haven't fully seen what those guys look like, but I like the knife on this one. When it comes to articulation for these guys, it looks like they're not going to have any issues. They're going to be just as posable as the ones we've had before, seeing as they have these skinnier armor. But again, I think the aesthetic is really nice. Those helmets with the half masks, I think, are probably the coolest look that they have. And then, of course, there's a good look at that gun. I don't know what the name of that gun is. If anyone of you know, please leave it in the comment section for everybody else to see. I think it's a really cool carbine version of the bolter. Again, they have really badass weapons that we're starting to see more of. Now, maybe I'm mistaken here, but it would seem to be that in terms of articulation in that shoulder, it almost looks like it's hinging upwards. You can basically strike this pose right here with the Infiltrators and Incursors that we already have. So I'm not going to say that that's not necessarily a new pose, which I do love this pose. I've always thought the knife with the pistol combo, super badass. But if you do take a look at that right shoulder, it looks like it's pointed not towards the right, but actually towards the sky. So maybe there's a little bit of new articulation here, or maybe one articulation point. We won't know obviously until we see more of this, but I do think it's something to potentially note. Now, as you can tell, these guys are going to come with a whole host of equipment. So the other helmet, the different guns and knives, some of the attachments, multiple hands, and then the backpack itself. So I really do like the fact that these guys come with a whole bunch of equipment. And yeah, you can take it all off, but just the fact that all those pieces are basically removable, I think gives these figures a certain taste of their own that we don't necessarily get with some of the smaller stuff from Joy Toy. Now switching over to the next unit, here we have the Primaris Inceptors, or what I like to call Flying Terminators. Man, these guys are really badass. Now, these guys are a little bit different. Their bodies look a little bit more like the traditional soldiers that we've gotten before with the Primaris Space Marines, but then the upper body looks a little bit more like that Gravis armor, of course, with those giant jetpacks on the back. And then of course they have the different legs, because these guys are basically jumping around, flying around the battlefield and then landing down. But man, these guys are badass, and as you can tell, it looks like they are coming with flight stands. So if you guys were hoping to have some of those, now we get them. Now, these guys also come with two different options of helmeted heads. So they basically have their regular helmeted heads, and then on top of that, they have these sort of visors that go on front of them, which gives them this more bulkier look. As you can tell, the one on the right is the way it would look like, I guess, with it up, and then the two on the left are what it would look like with it down. And I'm glad to see that obviously they do have a leader in there with the red going down the middle. That's a nice touch. My only real concern for these guys is whether or not they'll be able to stand without the flight stands, but I'll probably have them pose with the flight stands anyway, because that would allow me to kind of put them behind some of the other guys. So we'll see how that looks like when I get them. But again, really cool looking pieces, a lot of detail here. The weapons look amazing, and again, the fact that they're able to capture the essence of these guys so well is always really impressive. Now, as you can tell, the guns that they come with are absolutely badass. They basically have these blast shields on them. I guess because, of course, these guys are probably going to be in the thick of all the battling. So it's nice that they've added little things like that. Because, I mean, yeah, they got the big armor and all that. But again, it's nice to see them thinking ahead when engineering the way these guys look, right? And I'm referring to Games Workshop. And, of course, Joy Toy is capturing it perfectly. And those jetpacks look huge, and unless they're hollow, these guys are basically going to be impossible to stand up without a stand. So it's nice to see that they are adding something in there so that we don't have to basically make up for that on our own. Now, as you can see here, you will be getting the figure, the stand itself, and of course that extra helmet piece. And as you can tell, it looks like he's using his guns to stand up properly. Now, he might be standing on his own feet and on a nice flat even surface. It might not be too hard to do it, but again, I feel like it's not going to be very easy. You're really going to have to play around with this guy to make sure that he can stand up, and that's assuming we don't get slightly loose joints around the hips. So hopefully Joy Toy has cleaned up its quality control so that we don't have those kinds of mishaps. And then here we have a second look at one of the other ones, and as you can tell, this one is a little bit more standing straight up, but again, as you can tell, it almost looks like that left hand with the gun is holding on to that stem from the base in order to be able to stand up. So who knows, maybe they will be able to stand up properly, but that's just something to note. Now switching over to the Ruinous Powers, here we have more Space Marines, or should I say Chaos Space Marines of the Black Legion. So I'm really happy that they're building up this force. I'm happy to see that we're getting the War Band, but on top of that, we're getting these Chaos Space Marines. Only seen one set so far, which is these three. So including the two that we're getting in the War Band set, or should I say from the other sets, we have a total of 5 regular Chaos Space Marines, and then one kind of champion with them. And then of course the Terminators that they also have released or will be releasing. So again, I do like the fact that they're building up the Chaos Space Marine forces as well, even if they're not necessarily doing any of the specialty units just yet. Just getting a lot of the general infantry is really badass. I said this last time and I'll say it again, these guys just ooze with a certain amount of just style and personality that is really kind of hard to match when you look at some of the regular Primaris stuff, because they all have very clean aesthetics, very clean armor. But then you look at these guys and they have like skulls on their shin guards and or should I say faces on their shin guards of demons and things like that, and pauldrons with skulls on them, and just ornaments that make these guys really just stand out. Again, I'm not saying that I don't like the Primaris stuff. I love that clean aesthetic, but just something about these guys, even if they're not sized correctly, I don't care. I want these guys, and I'm most likely going to buy at least this set right here, if not all of the Chaos things. Now, as you can tell, this is what they're going to come with. So multiple hands, their jetpack. I keep saying jetpack there, but I guess it's their generator. I'm going to call it their backpack. So a few hands, their backpack, a weapon here, a sort of bolter. What's really cool about this one, it's kind of like a belt fed, and as you can see in some of the other photos that we just saw, he's kind of supposed to be holding it with the other arm. So I think little things like that are actually really badass. It gives them, again, more personality, and it just gives them this aesthetic that seems very purposeful, right? He's not just holding a pistol or a gun in his hand. He's holding something that's belt fed that he has to hold with the other hand, and I kind of like that. It gives him a purposeful action pose in what he's doing, and I appreciate that. Now here we have one of the other ones. Again, you're going to see multiple hands, the backpack with the big sigil on top of that, the pistol, and then a blade, and actually that's a chainsaw blade, so absolutely badass to be seeing that. They spared no detail on any of this, and that's much to be appreciated from Joy Toy. And here we have the third member from this legion right here, and as you can tell, it's the more simpler of the three. Again, the backpack, 4 hands, and then a more regular bolter. But you see what I mean? Like this right here is a bolter, very similar to the other one, but it's just a bolter. Again, I really like the personality that the other one brings out by having that sort of belt fed looking thing, and that it's not just straight down, right? It's kind of off to the side because he's supposed to be holding it with the other hand. So again, really cool stuff, and I really like this one too. Again, the aesthetic that we're getting here is top notch, and it's going to be hard to beat overall. Alright, Trial Mob, so switching back over to my community post. So as you guys know, I did put out a post asking what you guys would like to see for future chapters to be released by Joy Toy, and the options were Imperial Fist, Salamanders, and White Scars. So we did get a fair amount of voters, and it seems to be everybody would like to see, or should I say, the majority of you guys would like to see the Imperial Fists. Now, as far as I'm concerned, I'm almost 100% sure that the next faction that we get will most likely be the Imperial Fists. We already have the Space Wolves, Ultramarines, and basically the Blood Angels. We might be getting more from them, but I would be fairly I agree with you guys that we are most likely going to end up getting the Imperial Fists. So we'll see what ends up happening, but as of right now, that's what the community would like to see the most of. So Joy Toy, if you're watching this, consider your releases. Alright, Trial Mob, so there it is. New stuff from the Imperium for the Loyalist chapters, and new stuff for the Chaos for the Traitor Legions. So really badass stuff overall. I want all of it, and everything that they put out I'll most likely want to buy anyway. But let me know what you guys like. What did you guys like? What's your favorite figure? If there's only one that you're able to get, what is it that you would like to buy? And again, even though I gave you guys 3 different options for the chapters, let me know if there's any other chapter that I didn't mention, even if they're not one of the main ones, if they're from the fracturings, from the second foundings. Let me know what it is that you guys would like to see them do, or even if you guys would like to see customs. But until the next episode, I would love to see you guys subscribe to my channel. I am on the road to 1,000. I would love if you watch my channel. You can help me grow. Every single subscription I get brings me a little closer to my goal, and I would really appreciate you guys joining the Trial Mob.